Welcome to Toffee TV. We've been doing a lot of interviews recently, keeping you up to date with all the Evertonians around the world. And today we are joined by a Marvel artist who has written for Spider-Man, the Avengers, Star Wars characters. He's fully emerged into pop culture. And that's why I'm doing the interview. It is, of course, Will Sliney from his fantastic...
How are things?
Brilliant, mate. Look at his studio. His studio is absolutely incredible. It's any, I'd say boy, but that's just any man's dream to have a studio like that, Will.
Yeah, it's my little, my career has been from working in my own bedroom to working in a spare bedroom, and I finally have a room built for it now after 10 years. So that's how I've kind of categorized my career.
That's the dream, mate. Working out of your spare bedroom is the dream. Anyone who can earn a living out of their spare bedroom, I think, is doing very, very well for themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
So how have you been coping in these very strange times? Obviously, you said that you're in your studio and you've had to diversify a little bit recently from what you normally do. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, like I've been working from home for 10 years, so I'm well used to that side of things. Like obviously, you know, it's a little bit different not being able to see your mates or anything like that and not having any sports on at the weekends and things like that. But in terms of my working day, it's pretty similar to what I've always been doing working from home. But yeah, it's diversifying a little. Like I've been doing tons and tons of comics for the last while, whether it was Spider-Man onto Star Wars, but now I've started a kind of a video side of things where I've been teaching people how to draw, and there was kind of no better time to do that while all the kids were stuck at home. So it really took off, and we've had 30,000 drawings sent our way over the last little while, and it's keeping me a lot more busier than I thought it would. So it's cool.
Have you had to grade them all? You haven't had to like get your red pen out and your black pen and some gold stars?
I've learned. I actually judged an art competition years ago, and I swore I'd never do it again. Seeing a kid cry in front of me, so I swore I'd never do anything like that again. So it's all positive stuff. None of the no school homework or no marking or anything like that.
That sounds like literally the worst thing in the world. Having to...
Oh man, I'll never forget it. Because I was judging an art competition, and this one kid was convinced he was winning it. And as I was saying the name, he just got all really excited and was about to jump up, and I said a different name, and he started bawling, crying. So that's officially the last time I'll ever judge an art competition.
We'll come back to all your comic book stuff in a moment, because obviously I really do want to. To be honest, I'd rather talk to you that about anything else. But how does a lad from Ballycotton, County Cork, become an Evertonian?
Yeah, it's all through my uncle. He's been going to games since the 60s. He actually was working over in London on a road outside Wembley when Everton were at an FA Cup final, and he couldn't get into it. He couldn't afford a ticket or something back then. But he's been going all of his life basically, and it got passed down to me in the cot, as we say, and I've been going ever since, and always been an Everton fan. And it's actually easier for me to get to Liverpool than it is for me to get to Dublin. Like, it's a little half an hour flight from Cork, which is handy, and it's always a Ryanair flight, so it's been quite easy enough for me to go to games and stuff like that and to stay as close to the club as I can. So yeah, so there you go.
And obviously we've been blessed with certainly two absolute massive heroes for Everton and Ireland, and Kevin Sheedy and Seamus Coleman. That must give you a lot of pride to see that, because we've been looking back at a lot of stuff recently, certainly a lot of the 80s stuff, and the more you watch Kevin Sheedy, and the more you realise what a player he was for not only Everton but for Ireland as well. It must make you doubly as proud to see someone like that, and obviously Seamus Coleman.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's a hero here anyway for his goal against England in the World Cup. So, but yeah, there's always been a great relationship between Ireland and Everton going back through the years. Even 3 or 4 years ago, 4 of our first team players were Irish. With there was a good bunch of them. So hopefully that will keep continuing on. There used to be Home Farm Everton, a club here as well, which had a link to Everton as well. So who knows what will happen going forward, but there always has seemed to have been an Irish player in the team, and sure, Seamus is just a bit of a legend for both Everton and Ireland. He's such a sound fella, and a real kind of, he's got that real loyalty thing that a lot of players might not have now, and it's really he's I love the man. Since after Duncan Ferguson, he's become my Everton hero since then, with being the Irish captain as well. Obviously helps.
Yeah, that must really help inspire other people to become Everton fans, I think, with Seamus Coleman. There's a lot of teams out there, and obviously Liverpool and Manchester United have huge support in Ireland, but to have the Irish captain, and not only that, but just because of the way he come to prominence, the whole 60 grand thing, coming from directly from Ireland, becoming an Everton player, and then obviously is the way he plays. It's like something out of comic book, just the way he plays. His story is like a comic book. He then breaks his leg playing for Ireland. He comes back, and then it's all the other things on the side, all the stuff he does, all the charity work he does as well. We heard of something, I think, just last week where he'd given money to a young lad, and there's no airs and graces about him. There's no fanfare either when he donates this money. He just does it because that's Seamus Coleman and that's who he is.
Yeah, like he comes from a real like small little Irish town, similar, like it literally on the exact opposite side of the country from where I am, but you can see that kind of village mentality in him. Just like, you know, one thing over here, they won't let you get an ego about yourself, which I love about Ireland. Like, you know, like everyone's the same, and that's the way he kind of carries himself as well. I feel like you just know when he's back in Killybegs, he's just one of the lads, I would imagine. So
yeah, and funny enough, I heard a story about him, about how his brother went into the club shop in Liverpool city centre, Everton 2, Liverpool 1, of course, is the address, with a basically a share for every single person in his little village. He got them all printed up, and then he signed them all, and basically just went and handed them out to every single person. Probably got his dad to do it in the pub, I imagine. I mean, it's stuff like that which you wouldn't.
Brilliant.
I only heard about that because the guy in the shop told me, but there's no fanfare. He's not looking for any kind of publicity about that. He just does it because that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah. Good lad.
You've had obviously the pleasure of drawing a lot of Everton players as well. This started under Roberto Martinez, and I'll always remember the programme cover, and it is of Seamus Coleman. We had it up in our studio, signed. I think it was signed by you, and it was signed by Seamus. We had it framed. I've still got it framed, that cover, and it was brilliant at the time because you were coming through. You'd done some Marvel stuff, and Everton latched onto you, and you did a cover for the third kit. In fact, I'm looking at it. It's just sitting on my table there. A cover for the third kit release, the green one. You had Seamus Coleman. You'd done a little spread within the programme for Roberto Martinez, and at the time, it was like all these worlds colliding for me. Marvel and Everton. Everton were doing really well, and how did that come about?
Yeah. Simple as that. Yeah, Everton basically discovered that there was a Spider-Man artist that was a fan, because I think I posted up a drawing of God, it was like Sylvain Distin or Lukaku, a couple of drawings like that one day. And I had it, like, they found out quickly through Twitter that I was just across the pond over here, and that I was an Everton fan. So they reached out. It was quite a big project. Yeah, it was the Tale of the Toffees, they called it. On the inside there was a comic book, and on the cover of the program it was Seamus. And Seamus actually told me, in fairness to him, his mum has that up on her wall as well at home, which is nice. But and they've been brilliant ever since, and I've worked for a ton of different departments inside there, and they've really kind of brought me in, and made me feel like a part of the club, which is nice. Like, I had a lovely relationship with Umbro through that as well. That's how the third kit cover, or third kit release image came about. And then over the years, it's been different things. Like, I did something for when when they celebrated 10 years with Chang, they did a big presentation over in Thailand, which was presenting them with a big kind of mural that I did of the Everton team. And of course, there's that one inside in the stadium. There's a big mural in the family section that you can pose with, and they've other plans for more things as well going forward in the future. So it's nice. So it really opened that door. And what was really nice for me was that, like, from my uncle bringing me over to games when I was young, I got to bring him back over, and we got to, be behind the scenes and meet, like, whoever the manager was at the time. And like, even like, he wouldn't have stood out beside the pitch before and things like that. Whereas now it's a case of come on in, because I kind of know the gang there. Like, so it's lovely. And there was even one day we were inside in Finch Farm, and Duncan was there, and he just literally took us to the side for a few hours and brought us up into the players' lounge and he chatted with my uncle for about half an hour. And by the end of it, both of them said to each other that they couldn't understand a word each other said, with his strong Irish accent and Duncan's strong Scottish one. So it's nice. It's been lovely to be invited into the club in that kind of a way, especially for my uncle. I think it's been fab. Yeah,
and you mentioned there so it's like in the family enclosure, it's like it's like a traditional team picture, isn't it, with all former players. And you've obviously done, you did a collection of all the Umbro kits as well, so all players wearing classic Umbro kits in like a team picture as well. That was fantastic as well. Do players come up to you and do they want you to draw you, or when they find out they have been drawn by it, are they delighted? Because that must be the thing. Being a footballer, I think we forget, is that that's their job. And to us, that seems like the most fantastic thing in the world. So do they come up to you when they see themselves in a comic book form and go, are they like amazed by that? Because that to me would be like the next step for them. Because everyone always wants to be something else, don't they? Like they've got the perfect job to us, but they're probably like, oh yeah, but I'd love to be a Marvel artist, or I want to be in a comic. So when those players see themselves, are they delighted by it and give you, they want more and more of it?
Yeah, different reactions from different players. It's funny. Like the first time I met a bunch of them was when we did the press image for the third kit. Basically, all the players. It was the day when they were all those videos that they shoot for Sky and the Premier League where they'll turn around and walk to the camera. So it was the day of filming that. So basically I was inside in Finch Farm while they were doing that, and each one had to come out and do it for the different companies. And so we showed the players that were in the image, asking what they thought about it. And it's funny, like some of them almost default straight into that kind of media trend of going, oh, that's lovely, fair play or whatever. But then it kind of breaks through past some of them, and it depends on who they're. Like a good example again then is Seamus. Like within 2 minutes, like we were talking about GAA over here and things like that. And I think some of them are a little bit concerned about the green kit when we did it, to be honest with you, which was funny. It was one of their first time seeing it. But yeah, it's been nice. And again, Seamus and Duncan, when he saw that Umbro 11 picture, he really seemed to really get something good out of it as well. So, but it depends on their personality,
Yeah.
So some of them are really, really normal, and some of them, I guess, feel like they have to just go through that normal kind of oh, well done, thank you, or whatever. They can't kind of break past that.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
But for the majority of them.
Yeah, a lot of them are obviously very guarded, aren't they? Because like you've just said, it's all down to the training and how they're brought up. They're very wary of outside people, and I understand why that is. Have you encountered any players at Everton who are really into comics or into comic book films? Does any of them come up to you and wanted to know more about what you do rather than what they do? Because there must be some who are really into comic books and comic book movies.
Yeah, they're not that nerdy. I've been trying to crack them that way for a little while, and I know, yeah. I was watching an interview with Seamus, and they were mocking him for watching Game of Thrones or something like this. Yeah, they just don't seem to be, which is a shame because it would really work well with the drawings then. Like Richarlison obviously had seen Star Wars and stuff. That was one of the latest things that I did, and I got to hang around with him a good bit. But I don't really see him sitting down reading Spider-Man, unfortunately, which he should. He might help him learn English a bit better. So,
well, we asked Seamus about, like, we interviewed him last year, and Baz, I said to Baz, I want, because it was coming into the last season of Game of Thrones, and there was so much hype about it. And I said to him, Baz, ask him if he watches Game of Thrones or anyone else watches Game of Thrones. And he asked them, and honestly, his reaction couldn't have been. It was like we punched him in the face when we asked him if he liked Game of Thrones. It was like, I asked James McCarthy about that, and he said it had dragons in it, and I was thinking, man, you're Irish. You've got nothing but stories. Yeah. You've got nothing but incredible stories, and this thing is filmed in Ireland. You should be respecting this. Oh, I was so disappointed.
It's like I'm back in school. Yeah, it's like being back in school again when they haven't got the memo that nerds are cool now, so they're still kind of a bit guarded about that side of stuff. So,
I just want once a bit. I just want to see like Tom Davis skateboarding in like a Spider-Man t-shirt or something. Like just wearing it because it's cool. Like not a new Spider-Man t-shirt, that is like it's been in 14 charity shops and is faded to death. But I want to see Tom wearing one just so I can go, yeah, at least there's one person who's into the things I'm into as well. So.
Yeah.
Seamus needs. You just think a boy from a small little village in Ireland would be into dragons.
No comic shops up in Killybegs.
That's it.
So that's what it was.
Now, obviously, you started with one of your first things was the Celtic Warrior comic book, which is your own little thing. Now, I've seen images of this. that were based on Sheamus from the WWE. Now, were they based on him, or did he just become the look of the character? And why? Because he's a horrible red.
So no, it's actually the other way around. So he had nothing to do with the book, but when it came out, he started slagging me off on Twitter, asking why it wasn't based on him. He was saying, why doesn't he have red hair and things like that? So I kind of fired back at him, and in fairness to him, he backed down straight away. This is before I knew his big Liverpool allegiances. But yeah, that's what it was. So he's not in the book. We talked about it if I was going to carry on and do another Celtic Warrior book to have him as one of the guys. But I think now that he's a Liverpool fan, I might kill him off early.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, find someone who's like got like an Everton tattoo on their arm, but like it's not an Everton tattoo. It just looks like an Everton tattoo. To be fair, he seems like a sound fella. I know he's done a lot of interviews with the guys at the Redmen TV who we share a build with, so he does come across as a genuine guy. Like, but you know, you can't have him in your comic book. You've done a lot of Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099. And I remember one of the first things I remember you from was you actually managed to get like some. Like an Everton scarf, but it said St. Domingo's, and I think like a poster on the wall in Peter Parker's apartment. At the time, did anyone else understand that, or was that just you just trying to just get those Everton allegiances into a comic?
Well, there was definitely a few letters from Liverpool fans sent into Marvel saying that they're not going to read Spider-Man anymore when I stuck those in the background, which is hilarious. I did a little bit of that at the start. I'm a little bit more careful about that stuff now, for sure. Like, you're not going to find any Everton Easter eggs in Star Wars lore, unfortunately, which would be hilarious to do. But yeah, that was a bit of fun. we made Spidey an Everton fan. Actually, it was Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
His girlfriend was big into sports and stuff, so they asked me to put up some fake sports themes and things like that. So I thought it was a good idea to put that in there, and it hasn't come back to bite me yet, thankfully.
Has anyone from Marvel ever did they know anything, or did you just think just fake teams?
It's just not part of their world. That's the thing.
See, so this is why you need to keep doing it. Then keep edging it up. Just keep edging it up. Just literally till finally you just have Seamus Coleman on an entire wall, like graffitied on the outside of a wall in New York. How would anyone know? Will we set you the task? I feel like you'll just be letting us all down if you don't do it.
I lived in when I was starting out, I lived in New York for a year, just kind of because not that I needed to be over there for it, but it was good for it, and I wanted to as well. But it was back during the time of, which World Cup was it? God, it was, I suppose, 8 years ago now, or the one around then. I can't even remember where it was on, but it was like there was literally one other buddy of mine that worked in comics. We were the only two that were going out to watch all of the football games. So they're just the ones that are sporty inside Marvel. They're baseball and American football are their games, particularly baseball. There's a lot of Mets fans in Marvel, actually. So I've been to a few Mets games with them, but no. Football hasn't appeared on their radar yet, but it's like, you know yourself, like it's growing massively over in the States. So it's it's almost like a new sport to them. Yeah. You mentioned, you've done a lot of Spider-Man 2099, and we've seen an appearance of the character. Is it Miguel O'Hara? Is that how you pronounce it? He got a little cameo in the end of Into the Spider-Verse last year. What were your thoughts when you seen that? Because obviously that movie took. I mean, we've all been used to in the last 10 years being used to the MCU, the Avenger films. But when Into the Spider-Verse come out, and it's obviously directly what you do, you must have been blown away by that film in particular, and then seeing the character that you'd drawn for so long, getting that little cameo and setting it up for the second film. It was brilliant. Now I did get about 100 messages before I went in going stay till after the credits. So I was like, oh, there you go, Spider-Man 2099's in the credits. But it was cool, and I'm definitely excited for Spider-Verse 2 for sure. Like, I can't imagine there won't be tons of Spidey 2099 in it. Like, he played a big part in, so I actually drew the Spider-Man 2099 part of Spider-Verse in the comic book, you know. So like, it would just be amazing to see the stuff that you draw kind of come to life like that, which is always one of the really cool things that can happen in comics. Like, even like before that, like I worked on a lot of characters that are in a story with Valkyrie, who you see a lot in the Thor movies now. So I'm really hoping that, like, they don't tell us, but I'm really hoping that those characters that I got to create will end up in the new Thor movie and things like that. So it's just a really nice part of getting to kind of play in these worlds, seeing where those characters go after you've kind of created them, and like they'll be around for longer than I will. Like, you know, like that's what's just so bonkers about it all.
Yeah, that's the best thing, isn't it? They're yours, but then you pass them on to someone else. You must take so much pride because, as I said, you know, seeing something that you've drawn and it must be amazing. As I said, especially when it's in the same media that you drew it in, because obviously Valkyrie's in the movies now. Played by Tessa Thompson, and that's great. But to see something that you've drawn and it to be such an accurate representation must give you so much pride.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's a scene in Thor Ragnarok, which is like they'll often, like, you can just imagine this Marvel Studios and stuff. They have tons of comics around for inspiration and stuff. And one of the first scenes that we see Valkyrie as a Valkyrie is the exact same shot as the first drawing of Valkyrie that I had in that Fearless Defenders book, like, you know. So little touches like that are fab for us, you know. But the dream then is always to see the characters that you create, you know, make that transition into whether it's like animated shows or movies and things like that, which is amazing.
Now, more recently, you have gone the other way. You've taken characters from movies, certainly the Star Wars movies, and you've put them in the comic book world. The Star Wars comic book world has really exploded recently. I know when the original films come out, they had a tie-in with Marvel, and they did a lot of stories. But more recently, obviously, with Disney being purchasing both Marvel and Star Wars, you've had that now crossover where these characters who we've seen on the film in movies, and we might have only seen little bits of them in films, and we want to know more about them. Those stories have been taken and put more recently into not only the cartoons, but obviously in the comic book world as well. So we've seen Darth Maul go away and do things. People wanted to know more about Darth Maul. He hasn't just been cut in half. He's out there in the real world. He's done stuff. But you've done, in particular, the character of Beckett from Solo. So anyone who's seen Solo, the movie about Han Solo, the character that his role model in the movie, you did a comic book for him and expanded his world.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about Star Wars, is that it all so everything works through Lucasfilm and what they call the story group, which are like that's like the core story. So the stuff that we do is adding to that Star Wars canon, if that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, Becca was the first that I did. Then I've done some adaptations of the movies where you add in extra scenes, but in particular the Galaxy's Edge book and the Kylo Ren book then both really kind of got to expand on things like a perfect example is the Kylo Ren book. Like, if you've seen the new movie, if you go back and if you read our comic book, you'll understand his character so much more and why he does what he does and why he ends up the way that he ends up. Because you're basically, if you can imagine that, if you compare the comparison between Kylo Ren and Darth Vader, like, you originally would have just got the story of Darth Vader and he ends up, you know, turning to the light side at the end, whereas many years later we got to see the Anakin Skywalker side of how he went on his path to the dark side and stuff. So with Kylo Ren and Ben Solo, whatever, so you saw the Darth Vader stuff like it is in the movie, whereas the Anakin Skywalker stuff for us, which is the Ben Solo stuff, we got to tell that in the comic book, which is amazing. So I think that's definitely one of the real big impacts on Star Wars canon that we got to do. And then for the Galaxy's Edge side, which is mad, as you know only too well, I was over there last year with Baz.
Oh, I'll tell that story in a moment, don't worry.
So that was cool because they were building this whole new Star Wars land, and I was in kind of at the ground floor of that as the whole thing was being built, and we kind of created a story that was set there so that when you're in the park, all the locations that we use in the comic book, you'll know so much more story about that, which has been amazing to be a part of. Yeah,
it's getting better and better, and it's getting more. A lot of this stuff as well. Not only is it selling really well, but it's because of the whole media world attached to it. Now the YouTube channels looking for all the content, they're latching onto all this stuff now, and so all the information is getting out to people, even if they don't read the comics. We want them to read the comics. We want them to read the books. The PlayStation games, it's getting canonized, and all this information is getting out there now, and so people are starting to understand, like you just said, these characters are getting flushed out more. And what's great for that is And I might sound like a terrible Boreas, comic book Boreas, but we're seeing that stuff like Ahsoka Tano, who was originally in Clone Wars, went into Rebels, and now she's going to be a live-action character in The Mandalorian. So all these characters that you've helped create or have been part of the process are getting a chance now to be part of the live-action world eventually, and that must be exciting for you, knowing that if you are part of the birth of a character, that character one day might be on the big screen and for millions and millions of people to see.
Yeah, like if you told me that when I was a kid, I'd never believe you that I got to be a part of that, because it's and I think that's one of the real credits to Star Wars, is that really, when you're younger, it encourages creativity, and there's all this big world out there, and you might do your own little fan art and drawings and fan stories and things like that as well. And the fact that can kind of lead into, like, I obviously have this love of comics, but to be able to affect Star Wars canon like that is amazing. And I know the team well now that are inside in Lucasfilm, and but the way they're able to balance and control that story and be able to, bring it out in so many different ways that lots of different people love, like people love reading a book about a character or a comic book about him, or watching the movie, or of course the animated series, and now the live action TV series, which are obviously amazing. And then once you create something that goes into any of those, that then exists for any of these creators that get their chance to play in that field. And exactly like you said with Ahsoka, like, she's such an incredible character, but I never would have believed that she would have made that transition from the Clone Wars so many years ago to now see her in live action. That's an incredible thing to be able to see in the next season of The Mandalorian.
And it's exactly what the fans want as well, and what they absolutely crave for. It's everyone's dreams are coming true now, because all these characters that we only ever thought would be either on page or in a comic or on a cartoon, and we're now going to finally see them in movie. And then you get the other side of it, where, like you've just said, you've got an actual theme park, which is you've written the comic for, and it's crazy the way it's all gone, and the way it's back and forth and all the time. So you can walk into a theme park in Florida or Anaheim and be in a place that you've read about, and you might have read about it first, and that's what is so unique about the whole world now.
Yep, I agree.
So last year, Galaxy's Edge was getting opened in Florida, and you were there as one of the guests. And it just so happened that Baz was over there at the same time as well. Someone who'd never ever hinted to me that he was a huge Star Wars fan. The call came from you to say you were around, and the next minute I see pictures of Baz basically living my dreams out for me. I mean, thanks Baz for living my dreams for me. But he got to experience Galaxy's Edge with you, going on the Millennium Falcon. A boy dream, he said, you know what I mean? He said, I always thought, he wanted to score at the Gladys Street and all those kind of things, but no, he wanted to sit and be, the Chewie to your Han, essentially, in the Millennium Falcon. And what was that like, though, being in Galaxy's Edge and it all being quiet and getting the chance to do all those things? Of course, with Baz, of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was bonkers. Like, it was definitely one of the more amazing things. Like, I look at it, and I've had some amazing opportunities with comics, and like one was like this relationship I got with Everton. I got to play in Goodison, things like that. But like getting over to Galaxy's Edge, from drawing this place that didn't exist to then it becomes real, and then I got to go over and basically be in the park for a few days before it opened and just have the place to myself. Like, I was going into the canteen and trying out all of the drinks and just kept running around the Millennium Falcon. And then what they were kind of having it was their opening night, when they kind of told me, look, we might be able to get you a few passes if you know a few people around. And literally Baz was just in the right place at the right time. So we got to bring him in with his gang, which was great. Yeah,
no, fair play. I remember at the time I was like, answer your phone! Like, because I was messaging. He was like, oh, I've been asleep. I was watching. I was like, get on the phone to Will now. It was, yeah.
Because it was a one time only thing. Yeah. Like, it was for like they had that couple of hours of that opening night or whatever. So we got them to him in the end, which was good fun.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It looked brilliant. I mean, it's even worse because I was due to go to California in June, and I've got it all planned out. I was got it all planned out. I've been watching. I don't know if you've seen this, but on YouTube there's all videos of people because now they have virtual queues for the Galaxy's Edge, the rides, like the new Rise of the Resistance. It's all, and you have to get, and there's video, like these videos on YouTube, they're absolutely insane of telling you where you have to be, what time you have to be in the park, what you need your phone to be on, open to. Like you need to go in the park, then out the park, so you get a clear bit of like internet signal on your phone. And I've been watching and preparing, only to have my holiday cancelled. Well, not cancelled, delayed by how knows how long. But there may be a silver lining to this, because by the time I do get there, hopefully the new Avengers Park will be open in LA.
Yeah.
So that's the. So
and the space cruiser, they're expanding Galaxy's Edge too, and it's going to be even bigger as well. Like so, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, but what I was trying to time it to see when you were going to be in LA, obviously getting us free passes. So we'll have to. I'll talk to my people, you talk to your people, and we'll work that out. You mentioned before, just fine. You mentioned before you're doing this. You're on YouTube at the moment, and you're doing this. We will draw. So you're getting all the kids from all over Ireland to draw, and are you teaching people to draw as well via the videos, and just trying to get them creative juices flowing while these kids are at home?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I kind of had been dipping my toe into the YouTube waters just a few months ago, and I kind of invested in a setup, and thankfully had it before this all kind of kicked off. And even I did a video with Everton where we showed how to draw Richarlison, which was good fun, before I was over for the United game, which was at the second last game before this all stopped.
Yeah, it was the last home game, yeah.
So I drew the cover for that program, which was nice. And so the video shows you how to draw him. But really, it was just an excuse for me, because I said, look, if you want me to do this, can I have a kick around with him? Just to learn how to draw him, which was obviously total made up. I just wanted to have a bit of a kick around with an Everton player. But we did that, which was nice. And that was kind of the start of it, and I had the setup for it. And what happened then was, so we closed the schools a little bit earlier here. In Ireland, about I think it was 2 weeks before he did, and so my wife was a school teacher, and they sent all the kids home, and it was definitely a real feeling of doom and gloom. But I went online, and kind of people send me art anyways, but a lot of kids had sent me in a few drawings because they had nothing else to do, and I kind of sparked the idea of, well, why don't I give a kind of a bit of a direction onto this, and put out a daily art challenge. And I was expecting maybe 100 drawings or something, but the first day we did 1,000 Spider-Man drawings, the second day we 2,000 Star Wars ones, and then the BBC covered it, which just sent it all around the world. I was just sent a video with Japanese subtitles from me talking when it was shown up in Japan, which is crazy. Things like that. So it really has gone all over the world, which is nice. It's nice that there's I think a lot of people stop art, maybe possibly even before they should, because they don't realize that there is a career in it, when there's very much that kind of side to it now, and it's much more accessible and more demystified. And I think a lot more people are drawing, in this time off than would have done before. So who knows where that'll lead for people. But it's been cool. And they've given me a little slot in TV in Ireland here now, for 5 minutes a day, or I do a little art lesson, and who knows where that'll kind of lead on to. And I'll keep doing videos and live streams on YouTube as well, which they've been a bit of a blast. So as you well know yourself, it's a little, it's totally, that side of it was totally new to me. And I think I was even on to you going, oh lads, what do I do here? I couldn't get the live feed back onto a normal video, but it all, I'm starting to figure it all out. And it's been a learning process, but it's been good fun, for sure. And it's amazing seeing all of the drawings.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's setting up YouTube channels is definitely a lot easier than being able to draw comics. I know which one I'd rather. Well, I know which one I'd rather do. I know I can do one quite easily, but the other one I'm a terrible drawer. But so what? Just before we let you go, what is your YouTube channel? Where can people find you?
Yeah, just search my name, nice rare name, Will Sliney, and it should pop you up my little WS logo. You'll find the channel. So there's a Richarlison video on there already, and I plan on doing a few more kind of football ones in the future. I'm talking to a few people about that, so that would be good fun. And like there'll be more and more Everton stuff as the years go on as well. So I'm going to try and do that as much as I can, not just have the drawing out on Twitter or Instagram or something, but have a little video showing people how to draw them then as well.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining us, Will. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you about my other favourite subject, which, I can't really have these conversations with Baz. He just gives me funny looks. We've got him onto Disney Plus. That's the first step. It's the first step
there you
to
go.
get him into the MCU. I've told him he's got to sit down with his boy and watch them. You know, he wouldn't be a good father if he didn't sit down and watch the MCU with his son. So we'll see how that goes. But Will, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and I'm hoping to see you soon at Goodison Park.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, and I love the show. Keep it up.
Big thanks to Will Sliney for joining us on Toffee TV. You can find his YouTube channel at Will Sliney if you search for it on YouTube. He's got all the tutorials of how to draw, and just search his name for all this stuff. He's done Spider-Man, he's done Star Wars, and he's done all that Everton stuff as well. Don't forget, give this video a like. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you want more great videos, join us over on Patreon. The link is in the description. We'll see you soon.